Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. RHOSLC, Mary Cosby's dad is linked to a serial killer. On Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, the personal life of Mary Cosby has never exactly been unproblematic. Her decision to marry her step-grandfather was a big deal in her family. It caused a lot of lasting tension and permanent damage. However, another gem of drama that's just been exposed about the family revolves around Mary's biological father. It turns out he was linked to serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer based on proximity. These are the details. While Mary was visiting Milwaukee during an episode of RHOSLC, she noted that her dad was from the city. Mary explained that her father actually used to live like a street away from Jeffrey Dahmer. Before authorities locked up Dahmer, they nicknamed him the Milwaukee Monster and the Milwaukee Cannibal. He eventually caught the attention of the authorities after he killed and dismembered 17 different men. In some cases, he actually ate his victims' various body parts. Knowing that Mary's biological father didn't live too far from Dahmer is an uncomfortable and unsettling fact to consider. After locking him up, professionals diagnosed Dahmer with bipolar personality disorder, schizotypal personality disorder, and psychotic disorder. Despite receiving multiple diagnoses, they labeled him legally sane when it was time for his trial. A fellow inmate named Christopher Scarver beat Dahmer to death while they both served time behind bars in Wisconsin. According to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Scarver decided he wanted to kill Dahmer because Dahmer was taunting all the inmates. Allegedly, Dahmer would turn his food into shapes of severed body parts. Then he would add ketchup to mimic the appearance of blood. Scarver got fed up from Dahmer's taunts and decided to take matters into his own hands. Since then, a couple of movies have premiered to highlight Dahmer's twisted crimes. These include Dahmer vs. Gacy in 2010 and My Friend Dahmer in 2017. Some viewers have voiced their disgust and disinterested in My Friend Dahmer, specifically because they felt it painted Dahmer in a forgiving light. The argument is that the filmmakers did too much to make Dahmer a relatable character as a way of justifying his disturbing actions. While it's true that Dahmer didn't have the best childhood because he dealt with occasional bullying, the fact that he turned into a vicious serial killer years later will never be justified. Mary's latest family drama doesn't end with this revelation about her father, though. Some reality TV show fans are convinced that Mary's son, Robert Cosby Jr., is dealing with substance abuse issues in relation to the chaotic headlines that always seem to plague the family. The city of Salt Lake, known for its pristine mountains and conservative culture, has never been short on drama, thanks to the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, RHOSLC. But behind the glittering veneers, shocking fights, and jaw-dropping revelations, one of the show's most controversial stars, Mary Cosby, has found herself once again at the center of an unexpected scandal. This time, the drama is not about church scandals, bizarre marriages, or cringeworthy moments. The whispers are darker, more haunting. Mary Cosby's father, it seems, is linked to a serial killer. The seed of mystery. It began as a mere whisper. An anonymous source had contacted a popular Salt Lake City gossip blog, claiming that Mary Cosby's estranged father had a disturbing connection to an unsolved case from decades ago. According to the tip, the case wasn't just any cold file. It was tied to a notorious serial killer that had terrorized the Utah area in the late 1970s. Mary, always eccentric and guarded about her personal life, seemed an unlikely subject of such a dark history. After all, she spent most of her time on RHOSLC delivering bizarre one-liners, stirring church controversy, and navigating the awkward dynamics of her unconventional marriage. But as fans and locals soon found out, the Cosby name had layers deeper than anyone could have imagined. A family history of secrets. In the early days of Mary's life, her father, Albert "Al" Sanders, was not a widely known figure. While Mary's grandmother, Rosemary Cosby, loomed large as a powerful, wealthy religious leader, Albert had always remained a shadowy figure in the background of Mary's story. He was, by most accounts, a man who had struggled with personal demons and family rejection after a bitter divorce with Mary's mother. Albert and Mary had been estranged for most of her adult life, so the idea that he was linked to something as sinister as a serial killer seemed, at first, unfathomable. However, the more the local media dug, the more unsettling the connections became. It turned out that during the late 1970s, a string of women had disappeared in and around the Salt Lake City area. Their bodies were later found, victims of a brutal murderer who had evaded capture. The case at the time was high profile, but eventually went cold as leads dried up and the killer slipped through the cracks. Dubbed the Rocky Mountain Reaper, the serial killer was known for his chillingly precise methods, and the emotional scars of the case left the city shaken for years. And now, nearly half a century later, Albert Sanders was being linked to this unsolved nightmare. The chilling connection. The revelation that Mary's father had been questioned during the original investigation was nothing short of shocking. Though he had not been arrested at the time, police reports revealed that he had been a person of interest due to his proximity to one of the victims. The young woman, who was reported missing in 1978, had worked at a restaurant where Sanders was a frequent patron. Witnesses recalled seeing Sanders speaking with the woman just days before her disappearance. What's more, Sanders had been on police radar due to a history of volatile behavior. Though no formal charges had ever been brought against him, rumors swirled that he had once been involved in a violent altercation with an ex-girlfriend. Yet, despite these troubling connections, the authorities lacked enough concrete evidence to build a case against him at the time. Now, with renewed interest in cold cases thanks to advancements in forensic technology and DNA analysis, the Rocky Mountain Reaper case was once again being scrutinized, and Sanders' name had resurfaced. This time, authorities had found new evidence, leading to the possibility that Mary Cosby's father had played a role in these horrific murders. Mary Cosby's silence. As the media frenzy grew, all eyes turned to Mary Cosby, who, true to form, refused to engage in the conversation publicly. She remained tight-lipped, not offering a single word about the allegations. Her social media accounts were quiet, and her usual flamboyant presence on RHOSLC had noticeably dwindled. The rumors of her father's connection to a serial killer cast a long shadow over the usually glitzy drama of the show. Fans speculated wildly. Was Mary's bizarre behavior on the show, a combination of aloofness, odd comments, and emotional detachment, linked to a trauma that ran deeper than anyone had guessed? Had her family's dark past shaped the person she had become? Rumors of her tumultuous relationship with her father had long floated around, but no one could have imagined that her estranged father might be linked to something this heinous. To add to the intrigue, former friends and ex-members of Mary's church began coming forward, suggesting that Mary had known about her father's troubled past for years, though no one had anticipated it was related to something as dark as serial murders. An ongoing investigation. With local police reopening the cold case, the internet became a hotbed of amateur detectives trying to piece together the mystery. True crime aficionados dove into the original Rocky Mountain Reaper case, examining every clue, every article, every police report they could find. They sought to find connections between the original murders and Albert Sanders. Some speculated that Albert's possible involvement in the murders might explain Mary's complicated relationship with him. Others wondered if this bombshell revelation might push Mary even further into isolation. Could she continue her tenure on RHOSLC, or would this devastating revelation drive her away from the cameras and the spotlight? In Salt Lake City, whispers about Mary's father echoed everywhere, from high-end boutiques to church gatherings. The return of the serial killer case sent shockwaves through the community, reopening old wounds and adding a new layer of darkness to an already complicated Cosby family saga. The legacy of a shadow for Mary Cosby. The revelation about her father's potential connection to a serial killer could be devastating. Already a controversial figure on Housewives, the shadow of these allegations would be nearly impossible to shake. As Salt Lake City waits with bated breath for more developments in the case, one thing is clear. The Cosby family saga just became even darker and more tragic than anyone could have ever anticipated. No matter the outcome, this scandal will likely leave a permanent mark on Mary's already tumultuous life. Housewives may be a show known for its larger-than-life personalities, but in this case, reality is far darker than fiction.